JP Morosi with us.
I love arrogance.
Oh, wow. Leading the league in information.
Wow.
How about that from the soundboard, my friends? Good morning to both of you.
The antithesis of arrogance. JP, good morning. Before we get to your beloved World Baseball Classic, we want to hit you with the latest out of camps. And by the way, just for anybody that might have missed our last segment, yes, the Corporal LeBeau lookalike, John Paul Morosi, joining us from the home
Robert
camp.
Clary, I appreciate the comparison to the great Robert Clary. I also, Maddie, you mentioned Alan Arkin earlier on, and if I recall correctly, the first person to ever say that I looked like Alan Arkin, your dad. Your dad basically said that to you. Said that young Italian guy on the show, he looks a lot like Alan Arkin. I remember you telling me that years ago. And one of the many reasons, Maddie, that you and I are basically cousins, so I appreciate that.
Well, did you ever see Hogan's Heroes? Are you that?
Did I? I was a little before my time.
Oh, let me tell you something, man. Way ahead of its time. There's no chance a show like that ever gets made today.
No way.
Goofing on Nazi Germany as a half-hour sitcom, like, my God.
And the talent was off the chart.
Unreal. All right, let's get you some baseball stuff. The latest out of Red Sox camp, where we still don't really have a sense for what that infield is going to look like on a day-to-day basis. If it's going to look the same, we don't know that. If they're going to change it based on matchups, we don't know that. But we know that Rafael Devers wants to get out there as soon as possible.
Maddie, this story is not going away, my friend. This will be here for a while, certainly throughout spring training and maybe a bit into the regular season, too. The news of yesterday, Alex Cora telling reporters that Devers will be able to make, they expect, his Grapefruit League debut on March the 5th. So that's when we'll actually see him back in game action. Because in the near term, Alex Bregman has been in the lineup, playing really well, both offensively and defensively. And so with Bregman being first in the door and he's on the field and doing well at third base, you do wonder if that position is Bregman's to lose here, and that perhaps Devers might have to play somewhere else. It seems to me that when you bring in a Gold Glove winner at third base and he's already on the field in game shape, thriving in his new environment, it's hard to then move Bregman back across the diamond. To me, if you were going to have Bregman be your second baseman, he'd be playing second base right now to get the reps in a new position. It seems very clear to me, Harold, that Bregman's your third baseman and Devers either is DH, maybe he spots in at first base depending on Casas' role. But I think right now all the signs to me look like Bregman's going to be your third baseman.
I agree. I'm looking at it. Remember when Marcus Semien moved to second? They had an opportunity to move him back to short because they had an injury. He stayed at second.
Yeah.
Xander Bogaerts, same thing happened in San Diego. They could have moved him back to short.
Well, they are now.
They are now, but they didn't because he needed to get his reps at second base.
Yeah.
It makes no sense if Bregman is truly going to play second that he's not getting these reps right now.
So I'm
wondering if Devers isn't on the bottom backfield taking ground balls at first base, and then he debuts on the 5th.
So let's talk about a guy who is a second baseman. Let's talk about the former number 1 overall pick, Travis Bazzana, who hit a spring homer in Guardians camp.
We always love those early spring home runs that get us talking, especially when it's a number 1 overall pick in Travis Bazzana. Look at those numbers last year at Oregon State, a great swing. Now, it's late in the game. He came in as a replacement, so you're not facing the starter. I get all that. But I'm telling you something, that swing will play. I had a chance to watch Travis up close during the Premier 12 in Taiwan in November. This is an elite athlete and competitor. And just as importantly, you see his position at the top hand of your screen, second baseman. Last year's second baseman for Cleveland, Andres Gimenez, now a player with the Toronto Blue Jays. So this position, whether it's on opening day or sometime in the first half, is available for Bazzana to make his arrival. And he played, and Harold certainly knows him well from watching him there play at Oregon State in college baseball. Travis Bazzana is close to being Major League ready if he's not there already. So do not be surprised if he makes his Major League debut in the first half of the season or perhaps even sometime in April.
He can hit. That kid can really play. He's 22 years old. This isn't an 18-year-old. I don't have a problem with him breaking camp early.
Yep, agreed. And the Aussie looking to make a little baseball history with his debut with the Guardians, perhaps as early as opening day. Speaking of the international sport, we were all watching Chinese Taipei advance into the World Baseball Classic with their qualifier win this week. There are 2 more spots up for grabs, apparently. That's going to be determined, at least one of them, in this next game that we're going to air on Monday, March 3rd, this Monday, 1 p.m. It's going to be Germany and Brazil. Tell us a little bit about the German team, JP.
Yes, so here we go. These 4 teams are competing for the final 2 spots. So just as it was in Taiwan, you've got 4 teams that take it down to 2. And I want to highlight one name on the German roster, Donald Lutz. He is actually retired as a Major League player. There he is in his uniform. Donald now lives in Australia. He was the first ever German-developed player in Major League Baseball. Remember when he made his debut years ago, he was getting congratulations from Dirk Nowitzki. So there he is, 36 years old. He grew up in Germany. He was actually born in Watertown, New York. He was the 2nd ever graduate of the European Academy to make it to the big leagues after the great Italian Alex Liddy. So Donald is now retired as a player actively. He's coming back to play in this event. His current job is he is a scout for the Cincinnati Reds, the team for which he played in Major League Baseball. So he actually scouts Australia and some other players as well, including some in Europe. But what a great job, by the way, for him to play for his country, trying to get Germany to the big World Baseball Classic for the first time. And Donald Lutz, as a scout, gets to play in this tournament. I'm not clear, guys, on if he's going to be filing scouting reports after the games are over, because he's on the field now experiencing the World Baseball Classic qualifier. But Donald is a great ambassador for the game in Australia and Germany as well. He gets to play, again, on the same team as young Jaden Agassi, the son of Andre Agassi and Steffi Graf, who's also on Team Germany at the upcoming World Baseball Classic qualifier.
So I want to throw a little curveball at you, JP. Let's go back to the scouting thing. With the international rules, it's all about international money and pool, and that opened up in July or June or whenever they started doing, December, I should say. Could he actually walk across the field and sign somebody?
It's a great question. Now, you'd have to have the standard uniform player contract in his hands.
Yeah.
But that if the Reds have capacity to sign a player, he is still in play in the Cincinnati Reds. So he could actually have. I think that Donald should bring with him a stack of contracts, put them in his folio there in the clubhouse, and if the pitcher from Brazil or Colombia or China strikes him out with really good stuff, just bring that contract over there and sign him before he leaves the premises. By the way, the Tigers actually did this with a pitcher from Nicaragua during the World Baseball Classic in 2023.
I remember that.
Before he left the ballpark in Miami, the Tigers scout rushed down there, get him the contract, sign him before he leaves. You're now a Tiger. So you never know what can happen at the WBC.
Maybe that happens for Donald Lutz and Team Germany.
You like Italians,
No,
baby?
Germans we're talking about. The Italians are a different story. JP, thank you.